Motorcycle racers have done quite the impossible to bring fans the thrill present on the track. However, in some instances, the pressure to stay on top forces some riders to shove the rulebook out the window. In this video, we'll take a look at instances where motorcycle racers were caught cheating, starting off with none other than legendary Italian rider Romano Fatti. When you're a professional athlete, one of your most crucial strengths is being able to maintain your cool. However, that is not always the case. While racing in San Marino in 2018, Romano Fatti, while trying to work one of the straight turns, was overtaken by rival countryman Stefano Manzi. Aggravated by the outcome, Fanati's anger got the better of him, and he intentionally rode closer to Manzi, actually pulling Stefano's front brakes. In such a situation, and considering that the lot was cruising at speeds of 130 miles per hour, this dangerously insane stunt could have clearly ended Stefano's life. Consequently, and with immediate effect, Romano was immediately hit with a disqualification from the race, had his contract with his race team discontinued, and as the cherry on top, was also fired alongside the revocation of his racing license. Things even soon went south for him later on when it was considered a fair option to charge him with attempted murder by the Italian justice system. But truth be told, that's not crazier than what rider Max Biaggi did. In most instances, if you really gotta cheat, at least be sneaky about it. Well, following Max Biaggi's heated rivalry against fellow rider Valentino Rossi, it was this moment that sparked up an even bigger flame between the two. While racing at the 2001 Japanese Grand Prix, Max Biaggi decided to take an early lead while racing head-to-head against Valentino Rossi, where he slightly nudged Rossi off the track. Masked as a normal small collision, nothing could get past the almighty VAR. Unfortunately, considering they were in the first few minutes of the race, there was no justifiable cause for such daring yet uncouth sportsmanship. But the now angry and frustrated Rossi would only serve the man the middle finger, and honestly, who could blame him? On the other hand, Biaggi gets off with a warning, and the beef continues. From one of the most recognized riders in the game, it was highly unlikely he'd ever go to such lengths, but I guess not all days are Sundays. But even more astonishing than that is number 5. Italian rider Romano Fatti revolutionized and gave a new definition to road rage. Following Romano Fatti's fits of anger and well-known fiery temperament, another escapade at a 2015 race took place involving him and Finnish rival Niklas Ajo, who pretty much had a long history of differences in the racing paddock. The drama unfolded when Ajo, without intent, crashed into Fatti while navigating a turn. Enraged by the turn of events, Romano decided he wouldn't let it slide and sparked an argument mid-race against his now astonished rival. Progressively, out of the blue, he took it up a notch and decided to throw a foot and kick his rival's arm. Still not satisfied, he further amplified his aggression by bashing and frustrating Niklas Ajo after hitting the kill switch on his motorcycle. Enraged and utterly confounded, Ajo failed to start up his motorcycle and was consequently knocked out of the race. With another scandal staining his high-profile record, Romano got a 3-point penalty and a last grid slot at the start of the following Argentina race. Fascinating as it is to watch, that's gotta be the worst way to eliminate your opponent from the game. Or is it? Well, some cheaters can absolutely take it to a whole new level of savagery, with no remorse, of course. It happened during the 2023 Qatar Grand Prix Championship race. Spanish riders Jammie Maia and Adrian Fernandez, racing for the championship, played almost invisible tactics to clutch on to the championship title against rival Japanese rider Ayumu Sasaki. Having crafted a 13-point lead and 2 rounds to go in the Qatar race meant that doing everything possible to finish ahead of Sasaki would be enough for Jammie Maia to go into the race with a comfortable margin against other high-profile racers. And that's what he did.
Sasaki fights back though.
Oh, that's brilliant by Sasaki. He's got through a Maia. Now the Maia, can he retaliate? He certainly does. Oh, they run each other off the circuit almost. That was aggressive.
In action at the opening laps of the race, Maia, with the lead, went up on the inside of Sasaki at turn 6 and threw the Japanese racer slightly off the apex. In turn, this move pulled back both riders and caused them to lose lead positions. Now, his strategy was in play. He again, for a second time, ran up Sasaki in the exact same manner and sat him up again. On both accounts, the two dropped from the lead to barely among the top 10 racers, with Maia emerging in front both times. The incidents, however, drew the attention of the crowd and were noted by the race stewards, who sent a conduct warning message to Maia's dashboard with no further action from race control. Consequently, an intervention from other racers who had noticed the unfolding incidents split up the two riders, and with Maia in the lead, Sasaki fell into Maia's pausee, Adrian Fernandez. Talk about nasty. Although the aggressive riding from both could have been termed as coincidental, what really enraged people and drew more suspicion was Maia's maniacal laughter after finishing the race, which doubled down controversy while implicitly hinting that he had seen the conduct warning and ignored it, and that there had been a deliberate strategy to win where he did what he had to do. But a cheat by shoving is nothing compared to how Chris Kefir, 19 years down the line, decided to come out on his cheating strategy. A custom big bore in a 125cc capacity specified motocross race. Now that's cheating. During a motocross race in the city of Anaheim, California, motocross test rider Chris Kefir, riding as a non-sponsored racer, decided to take part in the race. Unknown to most, he had other plans. All seemed normal, motorcycles revving and every rider waiting in anticipation for the race to start. It was the perfect day. In events leading to the start of the race, Kefir, with his secretly improved motorcycle, hole shot past everyone, taking leadership on the first apex of the first turn and leading for the better part of the race, with no one having an idea of the cheat taking place. Not even the commentators.
All bundle up, so Ivan Tedesco, can he work his magic again? He right now sits about number 18.
Bearing in mind that Kefir wasn't sponsored, it was most likely they wouldn't have done an inspection on the ride he was using since, well, he's not gaining anything, so why bother so much about him? This meant that he had a one-time shot at winning the race and getting away with it. Well, that was what Kefir thought. Amidst the escapade, a fellow rider grew suspicious. As stated 19 years later by Kefir himself in a podcast,
it was a KTM 125, but it was bored out to like a 170. It was like a 170 kit.
He explained that prior to the race, French rider David Villemont, who was with him at practice, had suspicions about the type of engine he had on growing in on him after his practice race.
When I was walking up to the stands after my practice, he was yelling, "Big bore!" Like he knew I had a big bore because I was rolling insides and seat mounts and like no one else was doing.
Unfazed by the growing suspicions, Kefir proceeded to take on the race, crashed, and still didn't take the championship. Now, that's a cheat gone south. Following the next race, suspicions grew immensely, and his team decided to take out the engine and return to a normal engine. But if that isn't ideal enough, this next scenario might just make you wonder. Following the Aragon Grand Prix, an altercation between two of Max Biaggi's mechanics and Adrian Fernandez of an opposing team unfolded when the two mechanics decided to mask a cheat when they unleashed havoc by deliberately making dangerous contact with Fernandez's motorcycle while blocking the rider and attempting to hit the kill switch, which in turn led to stalling of the bike as he was exiting the pit lane after making a pit stop during the second part of qualifying race. Without obvious reasons to justify their inexcusable act and committing a foul highlighted on the Moto3 safety regulations rulebook on no direct contact to the bike or rider by the opposing team members, the two mechanics automatically faced a two-race ban and a premature conclusion to the collaboration with their team as reaffirmed by team boss Max Biaggi. Not only that, they were also charged with an acute suspension from continuing with the race and a fine of $2,200 each from race officials. Interestingly, following the unprecedented scenario, brothers Raul and Adrian Fernandez disclosed that after that incident, the mechanics decided to pay them a visit, continued to bash them out, and even went as far as to verbally attack their mother. Now that's crazy. Anyway, this next story is one for the record books, because Team Yamaha was caught cheating in one of the most unprecedented functionalities that would have caused their termination from the rest of the races all through the season. This happened after 3 engine failures in Spain, where riders Morbidelli, Viñales, and Rossi raced their bikes when things went haywire. Perplexed by the outcomes, Team Yamaha calculated their unnoticed odds and concluded a valve issue was to blame. On account of their losing streak through the season with no less than 7 out of 14 races, challenged again by 9 out of 14 pole positions and 12 out of 42 possible podiums, they were prepared to do anything. With a conclusion on the valve issue, Yamaha requested to have the 5 prescribed, already sealed engines opened because of an allegedly faulty delivery of valves that had not seemingly exploded. When the manufacturers demanded more precise details in the written admission of the supplier concerned, Yamaha withdrew the request. Afterward, the managing director of Yamaha Motor Racing, Lynn Jarvis, went ahead and assured the manufacturers that they could possibly prevent further engine damage with a presumed modified setting. This is where it all became fishy. Yamaha began making an insane comeback, even leading the World Championship. It soon turned out that Yamaha was using 2 different valves. Following an inspection and a report on Yamaha's sample engine, valves of different sizes were measured and came out with significant differences in geometry. With the truth coming to light, Yamaha apparently gave contradictory answers and imagined that the nature of the valves in question was absolutely identical. That was until the results came out. With differences in geometry, hardness, and even color, all evidence cast out Yamaha's story as amateur cheating, and the official Racing Stewards panel canceled out all the points earned at the Gers Grand Prix. Unbeknown to most, the scenario became even more bizarre when Yamaha tried to cover up the story by stating that the valves used at a previous race in Valencia were noticeably softer than the homologated ones they used in previous engines. Consequently, the valve fraud not only got Yamaha Motor Racing out on their first motorcycle world championship title, but also a defeat in the prestigious Constructors' World Championship. I guess their streak of misfortune never really left their side. But like most sports, cheating is a relatively rare occurrence. Some might even say a 1 in a trillion occurrence. But if you're in the mood, then why not witness 1 in a trillion motorcycle racing moments that ought to leave you in awe?